A lot of people use the XLOOKUP function to connect data sources in Excel. Yeah, that'll work, but only up to a certain point, because as new data comes in and your list grows, things can get messy really fast. So how about we use another method that's easier, cleaner, and way more efficient? For example, let's say you work at a dog food company and your Excel file has 3 sheets: orders, customers, and vendors. New data is constantly coming in, and at the end of each week, you need to create a report that pulls data from across these sheets. You can pause the video to study the data or download a copy below. Yet, doing a quick walkthrough of the data, our orders sheet contains orders that have been placed over time, our customer sheet contains some demographic data, and the vendor sheet has information about the people we get our products from. But here's the problem. Certain sheets only show the IDs when we really want to see the actual data behind them. For example, who is customer ID 7 and which vendor is V003? All right, here's where people start to build XLOOKUP functions that pull data from other sheets. But another problem is, as new data is added, you're looking at having to fix broken data ranges, constantly adjusting formulas, slower performance, and let's not even mention what happens if a column gets moved or inserted. Basically, it's a hot mess waiting to happen. Here's the part most people miss. Instead of building complicated formulas to do all the work, let's let Excel do the heavy lifting to connect our sheets. Here's how it's done, and it's very easy. To connect our lists, we have to convert them into a table first, and then we'll connect the tables in PowerPivot. To create the tables, let's go to the orders list, and then click on Insert Table, or press Ctrl-T. Then, in the upper left corner, let's rename the table to Orders, and make sure to press Enter. Let's do a rinse and repeat for the Customers table, as well as the Vendors table. Now that we made our tables, let's put them into PowerPivot. PowerPivot allows you to create a data model, which in simple terms is just a fancy way of saying you're going to work with a bunch of connected tables. To add your tables to the data model, click on one of them, then choose PowerPivot, Add to Data Model. Give Excel a moment to open the app. Once the table is added, go back into Excel and add your other tables to the data model. Once that's complete, the next step is to connect them in PowerPivot. So jump back into PowerPivot if needed, and click on Diagram View. In this diagram view, you'll see all your fields in each table, and you'll want to connect them by using the common field. For example, let's drag the customer ID from the customers table to the customer ID on the orders table. Next, let's drag the vendor ID from the vendors table to the vendor ID field on the orders table. PowerPivot will build a bridge, otherwise known as a relationship, between the tables. Now that our tables are connected, we can start to build reports that pulls information from across them. Well, we save things while we're here, then click Pivot Table, and how about we add it to a new sheet? Over here on the right, you'll see the tables from the data model, and why don't we start building our reports? For example, from our customers table, we can drag the device used into the rows, and from the orders table, we can drag the profit into the values quadrant. But we can take this one step further and create multiple reports. Let's click Insert, Pivot Table, and make sure to choose Data Model, and we can place that on an existing sheet. For this report, let's take the vendor's name from the vendors table and put that into the rows quadrant, along with the average cost per unit into the values quadrant. Then from the orders table, let's put the quantity sold into the values quadrant. All right, but now let's give you a little taste of what you can really do with PowerPivot by building a formula that divides the quantity sold by the average cost per product. From the PowerPivot tab, click Measure, New Measure. For this demo, let's go with a field name of units per dollar of cost. Whatever, just go with it. And for the formula, let's divide the sum of the quantity, type a comma, then take the average cost per product from our vendors table. Let's go and check the formula. Looks good. While we're at it, let's make the numbers currency for good measure. See what I did there? All right, and there you go. Now, let's say some new data comes in. All you have to do is from the Pivot Table Analyze tab, click Refresh. No need to adjust formulas, fix ranges, or any of that nonsense. So now you know how PowerPivot eliminates you from having to build complex XLOOKUP functions to connect multiple lists. If this helped, please give us a like and feel free to subscribe for more tech tips. Now, here's another video.